What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today for the final season preview that I'm going to be doing today. This is number 4 I've done today. I've done Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, and now Edmonton. Edmonton, back-to-back finals appearances, back-to-back finals losses, and now Edmonton tries to get back to the final, but this time win it. General manager, Stan Bowman, year 2. He's got a lot of work with a lot of guys he need to get rid of due to cap space. He brought in a few names, but this team is severely depleted for the team it was last season, which we'll get to. Their coach is Chris Knobloch, who's in year 3. Why would you get rid of him? He's only taken the team to the Stanley Cup final in his first 2 years as head coach in the National Hockey League. I'd say that's pretty excellent, if you ask me, but that's just me. Nugent Hopkins leads the way on the left wing side, 5.125 until 2029. McDavid down the middle at 12.5 until 2026, and of course, he is the big question mark. Will he stay or will he go? He is signing an 8-year deal in Edmonton. Hyman, 5.5 until 2028. Good deal there. Hopefully, he could stay healthy after he just kind of went down in the playoffs, and they really missed him in the final against Florida. They could have been a lot closer, I think, had Hyman been there and his scoring, they might have had a better chance to win that series and maybe have a Stanley Cup under their belt against Florida. It's kind of a comparison to, I'd say, Dwayne Rollison from 2006 for Oilers fans. Podkolzin, second line left winger, $1 million until 2026, where he will be an RFA. Podkolzin on the second line is going to be interesting. We'll see how he does, playing along Draisaitl and Mangiapane most likely. But this is going to be his chance to get a big role in this lineup. Draisaitl's got a $14 million contract until 2033. Even seeing that number is crazy to me. Mangiapane, 3.6 until 2027. He's brought in to replace kind of Evander Kane, or Connor Brown, or Jeff Skinner, or Victor Arvidsson, or just depending on who you like, because they lost a lot of guys. Trent Frederick, 3.85 until 2033, gets the 8-year extension as well. Baffling signing, in my opinion, considering I didn't think he was that good in an Oilers uniform to begin with, or that good. But this could be, Stan Bowman's had some questionable contracts before. A lot of them haven't worked out, but some have in some ways. So hopefully this will be one that works out for the team. Henrique gets $3 million until 2026, and then Savoie finally looks like he's going to make his NHL full starter debut. RFA in 2027. As reports say, he's a great penalty killer and a speedster. Hopefully, this makes the trade from McLeod and Tullio going to Buffalo a bit more even if Savoie can become that great two-way player with a bit of offense. Isaac Howard on the fourth line, $950,000 until 2028, where he will be an RFA. And that reminds me, forgot to add a subtraction on here. Now that I mention it, I'm gonna write it down here real quick, just so I remember. Also on the fourth line, you have Janmark, 1.45 until 2027, and Kapanen, 1.3 until 2026. There are a lot of expiring deals on this team, which is good for Edmonton because it gives them cap space. Problem is there are a lot of expiring deals on this team, which means you're going to use up that cap space. Other forwards, they signed Lazar. Tomaszek is there. Max Jones is there for one more year at $1 million. And Noah Philp, also there, who got into some NHL games last season. On the defensive side, it's a pretty solid defensive group overall. A lot of people complain about Edmonton's defense. I don't have much to complain about here, other than some of the prices. Cough, cough, Darnell Nurse. Ekholm, $6 million until 2026. That contract is finally coming to an end. Bouchard gets paid big money, $10.5 until 2029. On the second pair, Nurse, $9.25 until 2030. Hurts. But you just got to kind of live with it. Nurse is a good defenseman. Would be more in the $5 to $6 million range instead of 9.25. Wallman, $3.4 million until 2026. On the third pairing, you have Kulak, $2.75 until 2026, and Ty Emberson, $1.3 until 2027. He was more of a 6-7 defenseman last year. He looks like he's going to be the 6th defenseman this year. Ekholm, Wallman, and Kulak. It's a lot. That's 3 of their top 5 defensemen going to be free agents. So we'll see if any extensions are coming their way. Ekholm is older. Wallman's still, you could argue, in his prime, and Kulak is a solid bottom pair defenseman and could fit up into the top 4 if need be. So overall, I don't have much to say about Edmonton's defense. It's pretty much stayed intact. On depth, they have Stetcher. They have Josh Brown, who's got $1 million until 2027. Stillman, Dineen, Regula. Stillman and Regula both were, I believe, Blackhawks at one point. Riley Stillman and Alec Regula. And then Cam Dineen could play a depth defensive role as well. So there's some depth here overall. In net, you have Stuart Skinner, 2.6 until 2026. We'll see if he gets an extension. And then Calvin Pickard, $1 million until 2026. Kind of a bargain for what he's done. People complain about Edmonton's goaltending a bunch. Some nights it's lights out, and some days you can't stop a beach ball. In net, also you have depth. You have Matt Tompkins, who got into a couple games, not just in his overall in his NHL career. He can fill in as a third goaltender or backup if one of them goes down. But ideally, maybe you want to add another goaltender there for depth. So in total for their additions, you have Mangiapane, Howard, Lazar, and Tompkins as the most notable ones. Subtractions, Evander Kane is traded to Vancouver. Corey Perry signs in LA. Connor Brown goes to New Jersey. Jeff Skinner has 1 year in Edmonton, goes to the playoffs and says, I don't think I'm meant for this playoff kind of stuff, and then signs in San Jose. Arvidsson's traded to Boston. Derek Ryan, I believe, is still a free agent. John Klingberg heads to San Jose. Rodriguez signs in the KHL. He was their third goaltender. And Sam O'Reilly is traded out for Isaac Howard. So, gambling a former first-round pick. Howard was a former first-round pick himself, so hopefully just a switcheroo. That's all they need. And hopefully Howard develops well at the NHL level. Same with Savoie. Something that Edmonton has really needed is youth in their lineup. Howard and Savoie or Savoy, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one, should definitely help this team with that. Looking at where they've been over the last couple seasons, they've made the playoffs 6 consecutive seasons. 2019-20 is the first year back in after so McDavid's drafted in 2015. 15-16 they miss it because McDavid gets hurt and he is that Brandon Manning tries to kill him basically. 16-17 they go to the second round, things look up, and then they collapse in 18 and 19. They don't make the playoffs. 2019-20 they're back in. They go 37-25-9 in the shortened season for 83 points. 9th in the NHL. Then the pause happens. They end up in the qualifying round against the Chicago Blackhawks, my Chicago Blackhawks. And somehow my Chicago Blackhawks beat the Oilers in 4, 3-1. And that was seen as a huge setback for the Oilers. But they progressively got built better every single year. Their defense got better. Their goaltending got better. The depth around their forwards got better. We'll see that in 2020-21. 35-19-2 for 72 points in the shortened 56-game season, 11th overall, but they are swept in the first round by Winnipeg, in which a good few of those games went to overtime. I remember staying up for I believe it was Game 4 was triple overtime. There was another overtime game in there, then there was a last-second one. Edmonton, I know, blew a huge lead, or Winnipeg or Edmonton blew a lead, and one of them came back. It didn't matter. Winnipeg ended up sweeping them, but it was a close series for a 4-game sweep. 21-22, 49-27-6, 104 points, 11th overall. And it was, they beat LA in the first round. So they got past the first round. That's good. And then in the second round, they ran into Calgary. They ran into Calgary. And Calgary was the top seed in the West that year. And they said, or second seed in the West. Calgary's going to do it. They're going to beat the Oilers. They're the top seed. They're the favorite. And Edmonton, after a crazy game 1, which I believe ended 9-6, Edmonton wins 4 straight to take the series in 5. They go to the conference final, which Colorado sweeps them, but going to the conference final, it's a big step for the Oilers. 22-23, you could argue they take a step back, although their points totals go up. 50-23-9, 109 points for 7th in the NHL that season. They go up again. They beat LA in the first round, as is their natural right. Then they play Vegas in the second round, and Vegas was a new beast on their way to a Stanley Cup. They beat the Oilers, I believe it was in 6 games that season, if I remember correctly. 23-24 is where the narrative changes. The thought that McDavid can't make the final, Edmonton's not deep enough, they don't have enough depth, defense, goaltending. 23-24 and 49-27-4 record, 104 points. 9th in the NHL. They beat LA in round 1 because of course they do. In round 2, who did they beat? Who did they beat here? They beat Vancouver in 7 games, and they were down 3-2 in that series. Vancouver was an upstart team, and they get past them. They got Dallas in the conference final, and guess what? They beat them in 6, which kind of upset. That shocked a bunch of people, including myself. I expected Dallas to really run away with that series, and then Edmonton, who was down 2-1, they come back, they win that series in 6. Now they're up against Florida in the final. They lose the first 3 games. They win the next 3, but in Game 7, their hearts are broken. And they have a thing that they have motivation to be back next year. 24-25, 48, 29, and 5, 101 points, 9th in the NHL once again, and they do it again. They beat LA in the first round after being humiliated the first 2 games in 6. They win in 6, I should say. They were humiliated in games 1 and 2. Then in round 2, they get the revenge on Vegas. They beat them in 5 games, in what was a pretty close series, honestly. But this happened to go Edmonton's way. And they play Dallas in the conference final again. They knock them off in 5 this time, and they have Florida again in the conference final. I mean, not conference final, in the final. And this time, it's a much closer series. Hyman goes down, and the Oilers overall were a pretty hurt team, but they don't get it done. They lose in 6 games this time, but the games themselves are closer. So now Edmonton is looking for a way to get back there, and I think it's very doable with the current state of the Pacific Division, although they have one main team that could rival that. Vegas and LA finished above them in the standings this year. Behind them was Calgary, Vancouver, Anaheim, Seattle, San Jose. Vegas got better by adding Mitch Marner, and that's without question. LA, still going to probably be a playoff team. How good? I don't know. Probably around the same as Edmonton as they are every year. If they play in the first round again and Edmonton wins, just slap an ownership, just slap a for sale sign here on LA because Oilers will own them. Calgary, close to the playoffs, didn't get in. Vancouver, same kind of boat. They're looking to get back into the playoffs. Anaheim's going to be on the rise. Seattle and San Jose are not going to be playoff teams. So there is a chance here for Edmonton to do it again, but it's going to be Vegas as that's their main competition here in the Pacific Division to get out of the Pacific Division and then play what likely will, I assume, going to be Dallas again next, because Dallas is just loaded to go to the conference final and final again. But yeah, so that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. Edmonton is definitely a playoff team. Will they go to their 3rd straight final, and will they finally pull it off and get McDavid his cup? And also, how much do you think McDavid's extension is going to be? Because I believe he's not going to hit the market. I think he's getting an 8-year deal, just like Draisaitl. And yeah, that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.